In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you how to lose from 5 to 15 kilos of fat, build a ton of muscle, revive your metabolism, and get in top 1% shape of the world. No guesswork, no bro science. Tell me, when was the last time you looked in the mirror and knew the work was paying off? I'm not talking about getting stronger, I'm talking about looking like a Greek god. Because if that moment hasn't happened yet, stay with me. And the people who never get there, they have two common traits. One, they always want to see what they can get away with. They are always looking for shortcuts. Nobody ever got somewhere by accident or through shortcuts. They always had a solid, concrete plan, and they never asked, what can I get away with? They always asked, what can I do better? They don't have a clear visualized image in their head of them at their peak shape and struggle to believe that it's actually attainable for them. In other words, their self-image is so far off that they self-sabotage themselves into never succeeding. This is the first thing we need to get rid of. You can never ever be your own enemy. Now I'm going to dissect this into a 4-pillar framework. The person you need to become, eat for performance, train for stimulus, recover like a monk, and build the best body you've ever worn. Now, I'm not a genetic freak by any means. My dad is 174 meters tall. I was 58 kg when I started training at 16 years old. A regular ass person and a regular ass business student working a regular ass side job, trying to juggle life just like the next man. But I made a decision. At 14 years old, I took a good look in the mirror and asked myself, seriously, who do you want to become? I decided that looking like a superhero was going to be part of that, and over the course of the next 13 years, I acquired knowledge worth $20,000 and managed to transform my physique permanently. It doesn't have to take 13 years like it took me. Knowledge is leverage. If you apply that, you can become part of the 1% club within 1 year. I built lifestyle systems that keep me on track, and within no time, I created a body I loved showing off. It's time for you to do the same. No more scared of taking your shirt off. No more embarrassment that you don't look in peak shape. None of that shit. Summer bodies are made in the winter, and I want you next summer to be confident and never ever wear a shirt while you walk down the street. Now, it's not a secret that I'm a fitness coach, so if you want personalized one-on-one access and get in freak shape, the link down below is for you. Now, before I show you how to get there, let's first dive into what top 1% shape of the world actually looks like based on body fat, muscle mass, strength benchmarks, and lifestyle and consistency. First off, body fat percentage. The average man globally is between 25 to 30% or even higher in body fat percentage. Just having visible abs at approximately 12% body fat already puts you in top 5% globally. Sitting year round at about 10 to 12%, which is not contest lean, is already top 1% globally. Muscle mass, based on someone of 182 meters or 5'11" like myself. Now, average untrained global male, muscle mass wise, 65 to 70 kg with no abs. Top 1% worldwide, realistic standard would be 75 to 78 kg body weight at 10 to 12% body fat. That's 68 to 70 kilos lean. Now, an arm circumference, that would be of about 14.5 to 15.5 inches. Chest circumference of around 100 to 105 centimeters. A waist of 78 to 82 centimeters. And shoulders of 120 to 125 centimeters. This is noticeably above average in every setting: office, beach, nights out. You don't need to be stage level lean. Just a combo of leanness plus decent muscle mass is already world elite. Strength benchmarks, these are the numbers that you should be able to hit. A bench press of about 1.25 times body weight. A squat of about 1.5 to 1.75 times body weight. Deadlifts of twice your body weight. And weighted pull-ups at around body weight plus 10 to 20 kg. Or just simply body weight pull-ups for about 10 to 15 reps. These aren't powerlifting numbers, but globally, if you hit these while being lean, you're already freakishly strong compared to 99% of men. Now, lifestyle factors, and this is gonna be the true separator. Training 3 to 4 times per week for years straight. Structured diet, no random eating, sleeping consistently, limiting alcohol. Incorporate these into a smart, knowledge-based, concrete, personalized plan around your unique lifestyle situation, taking all these restrictions and challenges into consideration. And basically, being able to sustain this year-round is really what's going to bring you into the top 1%. Pillar number 1, the person that you need to become. And why are we starting here? That's because we can't rely on motivation. Motivation is essentially a luxury that comes and goes, and after this video you're gonna be all hyped up, that hype is gonna go away, and you're going to be the same person doing the same shit, getting the same results. We need to change that, and we do that by doing the same thing I did when I was 14 years old. Visualize the person that you want to be. What does that person look like? How does he walk? How does he talk? What does he wear? What are all his physical body stats? And act like that person. It's that simple. The more small wins you stack over a longer period of time, the more you will actually start to believe that you actually are that person. You start with a bit of a delusional belief in that sense, and it becomes a reality. The people who can't do this, they stay stuck in what they think that they currently are. This is how it works. Pillar number 2. Most people eat for comfort because they don't get enough dopamine from living a life they hate, so they start stuffing their face. But food isn't meant for comfort. Food is primarily meant for energy, so you can live and grow old. The physique is a byproduct of a performing body, so nutrition moves from eating to live to eating to perform, starting with calories. Money is the currency of the world. Calories are the currency of your body. To save money, you need to spend less money than you earn. To lose fat, you need to eat less calories than you burn. So you need to be in a calorie deficit. A personalized calorie deficit, that is, because for each person that's going to be slightly different based on body composition and other lifestyle factors. So now that you have your spending budget, we need to understand what to spend that budget on. That doesn't mean what exactly to eat, it means how much should we spend on protein, carbs, and fats. So what do we allocate that budget to? And they all have a purpose. Proteins recover your body, they build and restore tissue, any kind of tissue. Carbs are an energy source, literally the fuel of your body. That's what we're going to need in the gym, and fats are for your hormone levels. Together, carbs and fats will aid proteins in building muscle. And most people actually overconsume protein. Forget that 2.2 shit, unless you're enhanced, this is way too much. If you go over your budget of protein, you cut funding from carbs and fats, right? Less carbs, less energy, less intensity in the gym, less stimulus for the muscle in the gym because of lack of carbs, and now you're just getting skinny. Allocate a correct budget, train with proper intensity, have the correct stimulus for your body to actually fuel muscle growth. Guys, there's literally 0 point in consuming an abnormal amount of fucking protein if your body doesn't have the stimulus to actually use it. People that do super low carb diets, they may look great, but we want to look like Greek gods. And we want to be in top 1% shape, and we want to be in top 1% form. Now that takes hormone optimization. That takes fucking insane training, right? Carbs, literally the function is energy. If you do not have enough energy, you cannot train properly. Dorian Yates said, if you can lift a certain weight for 8 reps and you continue lifting that weight for 8 reps, you will never grow. You can only grow if you add more stimulus each time without compromising technique and tempo. That's what I would add to that. So push past your limits, and you can only do that if you have enough energy. And here's another thing about hormones that people don't actually realize. Guys, everyone wants to look after the test, right? They want to look after their testosterone levels. They get all these fucking look maxing guys on Insta with their ground beef, avocado, standing in the sun in the morning with their feet in dirt. But here's the thing, what if I told you there are 2 other anabolic hormones that you don't give a shit about? And that's why you don't get stronger, and that's why you don't look any better. And these 2 hormones are insulin and growth hormone. What's important for insulin? Exactly, carbs. What's important for test? Fats. What's important for growth hormone? Sleep. Now I'm gonna get into these pillars as we go along in this video, but guys, this is something you need to realize. Insulin, you need carbs. Carbs is going to be your best friend when it comes to building and keeping muscle, and the leaner you get, the more sufficient and sensitive your body is going to be to insulin and utilizing carbs in the right way. Pillar 2, train for stimulus. Every set chases one thing: mechanical tension at the stretch position of the movement. Now what does that mean? There's input and there's output to the body. When I touch, for example, my knee, a signal of contact with my knee goes through the nerve, through my finger, all the way to the brain, telling me that I have contact with something. That's sensory input. Or I can tell through my brain as the source that I want to move my hand, for example, or lift a certain weight. That's called motor unit output. So it's the other way around. So doing motor unit output in an exercise on one specific muscle group creates mechanical tension in those exact muscle fibers locally of that muscle group. So let's break it down like this. There are 3 ways to grow muscle: time under tension, through mechanical tension, metabolic stress, through mechanical tension, and mechanical tension itself, which incorporates both of those factors in there. Now, time under tension and mechanical tension, they create the pump, blood flow from more and more volume, and time under tension in a specific muscle group. You already get a bit of muscle growth simply from doing that, but not a lot. But the greatest muscle growth comes from increased mechanical tension. Meaning, within that set, increasing the load, increasing the amount of mechanical tension in that target muscle, getting stronger, doing more reps in one specific set without the compromise of technique and tempo. Otherwise, it are just going to be numbers on a screen or on a piece of paper, especially in the lengthened position of a specific movement. That's where most of the mechanical tension is going to be present. So when you train, spend the most amount of time in the rep in the lengthened position. I would say about 75% in the bottom half of the rep. Slow down the tempo, increase the weight. You're going to grow simply by doing this. Now do that within full range of motion, measured in degrees, from which a muscle can go from full flexion to full extension, not in distance of which a weight can travel. That's a very big difference. So meaning from full squeeze all the way to full stretch, which also means that dumbbell chest press is always going to be barbell flat bench press when it comes to chest muscle fiber recruitment every single fucking time. And in addition, just simply squeezing harder at the top is not going to be necessary. Yes, it feels good, but what feels good isn't always necessarily the most effective. People mistake sensation for effectiveness, but it's not the same thing. The squeeze looks better in the mirror, you know, where you get your bicep pump nice and squeezed versus lengthened. It looks better. The squeeze comes from nerve endings firing harder. You feel that burn and that squeeze. It's basically partially like occluded blood flow creating more pump, but what drives the growth is the mechanical tension, which is greatest in the lengthened position. So cognitively, you're thinking, yo, I'm recruiting more muscle fibers, but you're actually not when you're in a shortened position. So unless you're doing it simply for more control and improvement of technique, okay, then that's a good reason to stay a bit more in the squeeze for mind-muscle connection, these sort of things. But if you mastered this stuff, there's no benefit really of staying much longer in there than you need to be. So you can just go up and immediately go down and just hold and stay again 75%-ish of the time in the bottom half of the rep. And here's the next thing, right? You always hear that people get weaker when they are cutting, and they often use bulking as an excuse so they can keep getting stronger. But in reality, even when you're cutting, ideally you should always gain strength at the same rate as you were when you were in a bulk. If you can't do that, either your diet, recovery, training technique, or training volume is incorrect. Everyone's saying that you can't outwork a bad diet. Well, here's another thing. We're not gonna grow if you train like a bitch. And you're not gonna keep your muscle cutting if you train like a bitch. So you lose more muscle than fat because you lack the stimulus, right? That also requires having the right fuel, because without it, your body is not gonna be able to keep the strength and get stronger, so it's gonna get rid of the muscle first. Now, lesson number 2, correct exercise selection, technique, execution, and intensity. Train fucking hard, train smart. Now, pillar number 4, recover like a monk. There's a delicate balance between total workload capacity, recovery capacity, and the actual workload that you put on yourself. Just like you have a calorie budget, your body has a budget for total stress as well. Exceed your workload capacity, you overspend on your total recoverable stress budget. Overspend on stress, you can't recover, and now you just end up being tired. Not only your physique, but your work, mood, everything is going to suffer from this. You can't train with the intensity that we just talked about. Mental fatigue creeps in, and before you know it, you're having intense cravings for carbs and fats, and the result of that, you'll binge eat, you won't be able to stay in your calorie deficit, and you don't get any results at all. And you think the cause is nutrition, but the cause is actually that you don't have balance between your recoverable capacity and your workload capacity. In other words, your total workload capacity plus recovery capacity versus the actual workload that you're putting onto yourself are not balanced. So once again, nobody ever got in their top shape of their life without having a concrete plan. They made it easy for them to stick to and adhere to in the long run. It's nice to do like a 12-week challenge and get to sprint towards some point, but what then? You know, if you can't sustain this stuff forever, it's a marathon. It's a type of rent you always should be able to pay. If you don't have an approach that allows you to do that, right? So applying the right knowledge that we are just discussing right now, but also incorporating it into a sustainable way that allows you to stick to based on all your challenges and all your day-to-day priorities, all this sort of stuff, it's not gonna happen. I'm sure you can do a 1,000-calorie deficit and lose a bunch of weight in about 2 months, but you're gonna lose muscle. You're not gonna look at your absolute best. I'm sure you have the motivation to train like a maniac, but unless you deliberately manage your total stress and recovery capacity balance, you're going to fall off. And there's also a chance, and a pretty great chance to be honest, that you will not be losing weight at all. And I see this all the time at people who are chronically too stressed. Even if you track every gram you eat, too much stress has a negative impact on hormones, the hormones that we just discussed about, and a few more. Stress is the hormone called cortisol. When chronically elevated, it leads to insulin resistance. And we need insulin, right? The hormone we talked about earlier that we need to perform. When both of these are fucked, it leads to stubborn fat without you knowing it. And because of your crash diet, which basically a 1,000-calorie deficit is for a lot of people, your thyroid slows down, which causes slow fat burning as well. All of this leads to testosterone going down, becoming too low for you to effectively lose fat and keep muscle and build muscle and have more fat storage around the waist, and then you just end up being skinny fat and it just all goes down the drain simply because you want to go too fast and you just take on a shotgun approach instead of pausing for a minute and say, yo, how can I hit bullseye with all of my efforts? So essentially guys, everything that you do is a form of stress. Even making decisions, working, walking, it's all stress. I teach a lot about this in my one-on-one coaching. When you wake up in the morning, you basically have what's called a cognitive water bottle. A water bottle filled with your budget for total daily stress capacity for that day. And the size of this bottle is different for everyone. It depends on how much stress you put on yourself the previous day and all days, and how good the quantity and quality of your sleep is going to be. Right? So this bottle is full in the morning because your sleep restores at least 70% of your stress. That's why sleep is your best friend, the most anabolic agent, and the actual true human superpower, super underrated. And as you move along your day, you tip a little bit of water constantly out of that bottle, okay? When you train fucking hard, you empty a lot of water, especially when you are training legs. That's why training legs makes you feel more tired and has a more negative stimulus to fatigue ratio. So you can't just keep emptying water bottles. That's why Dorian said that you can't train more than 4 times if you are a natural, if you train properly. Now we'll get into cardio further in the video, but remember the cognitive water bottle for when I talk about cardio. Recovery is super important. And again, about 70% of your recovery comes from sleeping. So if you can't recover more, if you can't sleep more, you need to adjust the amount of work output that you do in order not to overspend on stress, so that you can train at maximum intensity while still staying in a recoverable volume and still have some energy throughout the day, positive mood to also focus on other priorities. Now, if you don't know what that looks like and you need a concrete plan that makes it easy for you in the long run with a diet that has the correct budget allocation, and listen, a training style that has the optimal amount of volume, well then the solution as to why you haven't gotten in the best shape of your life yet is in the description down below in this video. Fill out the link, get one-on-one coaching from me and my team. It's time for you to get in freak shape. I'm here to help you do that. So let's put into practice what that would look like, right? So let's say I wake up in the morning, I've got a full cognitive water bottle, I work, I start with deep work typically, because work that costs me the most amount of focus, simply because at this point I'm the most fresh in the day, so it's going to be my most productive time, right? So I try to get the most difficult tasks, also they require the most mental resilience. I try to get those tasks out of the day first. And as the day goes on, I'm slowly tipping up my cognitive water bottle. So what do? I actually try to stress the least amount as possible. I try to not spill water on unnecessary stuff. Don't worry over things outside of my control. That's a very good one. no objects laying around in my visual field when I'm working that don't contribute to anything. I do what needs to be done, but the relative stuff like that and staying up late, processed food, alcohol, everything that cognitively or physically tires me out and doesn't serve my goals, ego or soul, I try to minimize. So I try to do things that keep me not stressed so I can actually work hard in the gym and outside of the gym. Having a correct diet, nutrition, okay? Before I gym, very low fat supply, very high in carbs, medium protein, so that we can hit the leucine threshold in every single meal that we eat, and that we have enough of a frequent hit throughout the day, always having protein circulating in the body, because the body's not very good at storing them for a long period of time like how it is able to do so with carbs and fats. So super high carbs, smash glucose into the bloodstream so we can train freakishly hard and spike insulin, because insulin is one of the most important anabolic hormones. Sleep well, and that's what you do. That's how it goes. So guys, train with the right stimulus, supply the correct nutrition, don't overstress, protect your sleep, and you will see the results in the gym. And after the gym, I'm not doing all that much. Spending money on nonsense when you can actually use these systems to your advantage. That requires you to build the physique that you want, that actually comes for free, guys. Adhere to all of this and you're basically gonna have legal PEDs, because compared to 99% of gym goers, they are simply not doing this. If you're the type of person that has ground beef, eggs, avocado before the gym, while it looks good on your Snapchat camera, while it maybe looks good on your Instagram reels, trust me, brother, you are not going to be able to train with the intensity that it needs, and you're gonna be able to train like a bitch, and you're not gonna have the best physique that you possibly could have had. You might think that you are, but you're simply not going to grow and keep the amount of muscle that you possibly could have been doing. Or it might already be in decent shape, people might look at you and think that you're in good shape, but it's not about what we can get away with, it's about what we can do better. If I can train harder, if I can eat smarter, have a smarter, more optimal approach, then I'm gonna fucking do that. And if you want to do that as well, join me. Next thing to really discuss before we close off this video, I know this is gonna shock you, but I explain why running is actually kinda bad and why you should limit your cardio, especially if you're cutting. The reason why a lot of people lose muscle when they cut, unless they get, well below 6% body fat, the reason why a lot of people lose muscle when they cut, my friend, is because they lose strength. They can't train with optimum intensity because of two things. They either spend too much of their stress budget, which means they're working a lot, which is good, but you need to recover from it. Output reduces, or number two, they don't have the right pre-workout nutrition, aka nutrient timing, that allows them, that requires actually to match the requirement of output in the gym with the fuel that you put in. Like basically the whole day you're sedentary, you're not burning a lot, and then there's one spike, there's 1 hour in the day where you're actually pushing your limits to the max capacity. What do you think your body needs in order to do that? If you have this curve of output and then boom, it goes like this, what do you think you'll need of input and energy? You'll need to match that for you to be able to have that kind of output. So nutrient timing is extremely important. When you do cardio, you are tipping your cognitive water bottle out pretty much as well. It depends a bit on heart rate, how long you're doing it, of course, and the amount of impact that you're having on your knees, for example, when you're running. The more water you spill each minute, the higher these factors are. So when you tip too much, you don't have enough left in reserve to train like a fucking maniac or recover from that volume you could have been recovering from. So it's a bit of a matter of prioritizing what is most important when it comes to your fitness goals, when you try to do multiple things. So if you don't train like a maniac, you will not reach the results that you've been chasing. All these overlay B-rolls that you see on me, looking crazy in Bali and all this kind of stuff. I barely do any cardio. Well, sometimes on some of these online platforms, you might see me run a little bit, but that's actually just strictly for the video. I'm really limiting my cardio so that I can have more budget to train hard. I try to get my steps in though, because the intensity is super low, the heart rate is super low. It leads to increased blood flow circulation only, so nutrients gets transported faster everywhere, aiding recovery. And because it's good for my mind as well to, like right now, be outside in the sun, get some sunlight, get some daylight in, with the bare minimum amount of fatigue that it brings because it's so low intensity. Now I'm sleeping well, and if you don't sleep well, if you don't refill your cognitive water bottle, it's not only quantity hours of sleep, but quality of hours as well. The more you rise and fall with the sun, the better your sleep quality is going to be. That's why I'm sitting here 7 in the morning before I'm about to hit the gym, pre-workout nutrition, nutrient timing perfectly, and I'm sitting here and watching the sunrise behind me, because that kind of rhythm makes me refill that cognitive water bottle and a water bottle in general for all the workload capacity to the max. So what do you take away from this video? Train with the right stimulus, supply the right nutrition with the right nutrient timing before your workout, recover like a monk, don't overspend on your budget, apply the right knowledge, and don't freaking shotgun approach it, doing random bullshit that you saw on TikTok without being able to motivate why you would be doing that. That's the takeaway. And it's not just me, guys. If I go through my clients are all having insane results. Some of my clients have dropped 20 to 30 pounds in a short amount of time. Everyone's getting PRs on all of their lifts while they are cutting. Some of my clients are getting into the best shape in a short amount of time. Everyone's reaching their goals. Everyone's reaching their dream physiques. And the reason why is because they all understand the principles that I gave them. The principles that we have been discussing in this video and a lot more. And they adhere to their program. They adhere to their concrete plan. Right calories, right macros, nutrient timing, protein, carbs. Make sure that you hit the correct amount of fats during the day so that you don't fucking feel horrible when you wake up in the morning and sleep enough. So guys, if you want the blueprint and don't guess diagnose anymore, there's a link down in the description that will sort out your personal action plan, get you in the best body you've always dreamed of. Click the link down below. Zero fluff, straight facts, all based on the right knowledge that will help you get there. So let's talk a little bit about my personal journey before we end this video. What is it actually like getting in your best shape? And I'm telling you, man, it's an absolutely insane feeling. You have full trust in your plan because you know it's 100% going to work, because you know it's based on the right information, and you know it's personalized around your stats and what you actually need. And when you trust your plan 100%, it's a total different feeling driving to the gym compared to like, I don't really know if this stuff that I'm doing is really gonna work or not. Totally different. You wake up in the morning, you look at yourself in the mirror, and you get so proud because you get so happy of all the progress that you've been making. You feel like you're basically Superman, guys. That translates into everything in my life. I literally owe everything to the decision that I made when I was 14 years old that led me to building my physique, that led me to, you know, sitting here under palm trees in middle of October in a tank top when it's already in the north of Europe getting super cold and stuff. Socially, the amazing people that I've been able to meet all across the world. You're more confident, which helps you in social interactions. You're happier down at the beach with your shirt off. People instantly start to respect you because you're walking around literally with something that money couldn't buy. You get this aura, you talk to people. It's almost like when you walk into a cafe and people are facing you from behind. They almost start to turn around because they just feel that there's some kind of presence walking inside. And you feel that way yourself every step that you take. It's insane. It's literally feeling like Superman. And it's the most amazing thing. So you talk to people, your hormones are better, your mood is better, your energy is better, you're motivated to do productive things and the right things. You're able to delay gratification and go for the dopamine stuff that is good for you in the long run instead of going for short-term distractions that only make you unhappy and feel bad about yourself, self-sabotage, all these sort of things. It's just upward spiral, upward spiral, upward spiral, and it feels amazing. My productivity literally skyrocketed when I got into insane, stupid fucking shape because it felt like a standard, because I made a new standard for myself. The identity kept evolving, you know what I said in the beginning, the delusional part, and then as you book small wins, you actually start to believe it, and you start to put the bar higher for yourself. Because I look like this guy and I do all these things to get here, I can apply that to my business as well. I can apply that to my personal projects, to everything in my life. So what is it like to getting into your best shape? It's like becoming fucking Superman. I started my fitness journey at 14. I've got screenshots on my FitnessPal when I started logging that early. 15 years old, even doing bicep curls in the bedroom, not having a single clue what I was doing. 58 kg. Now I'm here, 34 kilos heavier, way leaner, looking crazy. But it doesn't have to take you 10 years. It only has to take you a few months with the principles that we talked about in this video. The results that you get is not just looking better, your whole lifestyle satisfaction as a metric is going to go up. And if anyone has gotten in sick shape down below, you can agree with me in the comments. That's why I'm encouraging you to get serious about your fitness journey, get in shape, and I promise you, everything else in life is going to get better. The link is in the description. The clock is ticking. See you inside.